loops, and then we have while loops. So the difference I want to leave you with for this is that for the while loops, when we are using it, if we don't know the exact number of times you want to repeat something. So let me see if I can undo. In the previous examples, you could see that we know that we want to print from 1 to 100 over here. So we say for I in this, we know that we want to print all of this. So we say for fruit in fruit, right? Good. That's why we use the for loops. Now, if we do not want to do that, we'll use the while loops. Now, you may not understand, but let's just look at some examples and then it's going to become that much clearer. Okay, so assuming we want to count from 1 to assuming we want to count from 1 to 10, right? Good, we need a starting point. I'm just using this to demonstrate our while loops. So our starting point is going to be 0, right? Now we need to store this in a variable. So let me call it count. I want to call it start, but let's call it count. So we say count is equal to 0, like this. Now this is where our while loop is going to come into action. Now think to yourself, which condition is going to help us to be able to count till 10? You understand? So we can say while count is less than, let's say, 11, like this. Good. So while count is less than 11. Yes, when we say this, so we mean when we get to 11, we should do nothing. While count is less than 11. When we get to 11, we don't want to do anything. Good. So what you want to do is you want to print, right? The moment we enter the loop, we want to be printing something. So let's just see a string count, and then you remember the comma method, and then the actual variable is self count, like this. Good. This is what we want to return. Now when we return this, we want to do another thing again. So we want to go and then increment our count. I hope you remember how to increment. This is one of the very first things that we did, right? Yes, so we are done. So let me just print that and let's see it in action. And then I'm going to explain something very dangerous we call an infinite loop. You see, so you can see we have our count 0, our count 1, straight to 10. That's very good. Now let me explain to you an infinite loop. And you always have to try to avoid this kind of loop when you're programming, right? So if we look at this critically, let's just do a diagnosis like we always do. So we start from 0, our count is 0, is nothing, and then we went to set a condition. We said while count is less than 11. Now this 0 is static, nothing is happening to it, so it will always be less than 11. Then we went ahead to do some prints over here, all nested under this, right? So when we are doing this print over here, we said we want to print a string count and then the variable itself. So this is what happened. It has happened over here. This is our count and 0. That's what will happen next. Now we say we want to increment our count. So count plus equal to 1. 0 plus 1 is what? 1. So this will now be 1. Now when this is 1, the whole thing has to continue again because 1 is not 11. Yes, at the very beginning of this whole loop session, what do we talk about? We talked about repetition. This 1 is not 11, so the whole thing goes again, and then we'll print 1. And then the whole thing goes again, and then we'll print 2. And then the whole thing goes again, and then we'll print 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 until we get to 11. Now when we get to 11, count is not less than 11, it is equal to 11. So then we can exit this, right? Now I'm going to get rid of this increment line, and then we are going to see our infinite loops in action. Very dreadful. Now if you don't have a very reliable machine, don't actually try this. Just keep it at the back of your head, you see. So I'm going to run this. You can see it just keeps running. I can let it run and it will run all day. So we have 0, 0, 0. It's going to run all day if we don't do anything about it. Yes. So that's just our while loops. Yeah. a use case for our while loops. Be careful with them. Yeah. So let me actually just terminate this. So that's a good example of our while loops, right? Good. Yeah. So everything I hit here is actually a breakpoint. I don't know. For the purposes of this course, we may not talk about that, but these are lines that will break your whole code. Yeah. So that's the while loop in Python.